Welcome back. So we just went through this whole flow of how data is used by a company. But there's a few more things I want to talk about because right now we just talked about water and how does this really apply? What kind of tools do data engineers actually use? Well, you may have heard of something like Kafka. And we'll get to Kafka later on, but something like collecting these data streams and putting them into a data lake might be something that Kafka or Apache Kafka might do. For data lakes, for example, these are simply programs that companies can use. For example, you may have heard of Hadoop or Amazon S3 or the Azure Data Lake. These are programs that have been built by engineers to hold large amounts of data, like a data lake. And then for a data warehouse, we have tools like Google BigQuery, Amazon Redshift, even Amazon Athena. These are data warehouses that allow engineers to make queries or analyze this structured data. Now, I know what you're thinking. Who does what in this whole system? We've learned that the data engineer creates this entire system for us. They use different tools and programs to ingest data and then put it into a data lake or a data warehouse. So as a data scientist and a machine learning expert, which data do you use? Pause the video and think about it. Ready for the answer? Well, most of the time, you'd be working with a data lake. Because remember, if you're doing machine learning, the more data you have, the better, right? And with machine learning, you can use structured or unstructured data. So you can go into a data lake and actually grab a bunch of data to use for your models, whether they're in CSV forms or any other forms. And usually, data warehouses are used by BIs or business intelligent people or business analysts or data analysts to make visualization or analyze data. Because the data warehouse has usually more structured data that has been cleaned out than it was when it was a data lake, it's a lot easier to understand and use the data for information. Now, as a data scientist, you can use the data from a data warehouse. And this isn't just a rule. It's usually you use whatever data is usable to you. But this is a good way to think about things, that a data scientist uses as much data that they can, as much useful data as they can, while somebody like a business intelligence person or a data analyst has already the data cleaned, processed by a data engineer, and use something like a data warehouse to analyze data. And Google's BigQuery is exactly that. It allows somebody with not too much engineering experience or programming experience to analyze this data in a data warehouse. Another way to think about it is like this. Usually, a software engineer, a software developer, app developer, mobile developer, they build programs and apps that users and customers use, and that releases data. Then, a data engineer would build this piping and pipeline for us to ingest data and store it in different services like Hadoop, like Google BigQuery, so that that data can be accessed by the rest of the business. Next, we have data scientists that use the data lake as well as the data scientists to extract information and deliver some sort of business value. Finally, we have data analysts or business intelligence to use something like a data warehouse or structured data to again derive business value. And I hope that clears the picture a little bit when you hear all these titles out there in the industry. Now, the industry is fast evolving, And there's definitely some overlap, and sometimes what one job description might say might be different than the other. But these are general simplified rules that you can use to understand how each role plays into the part of a company.